My name is Emily Carter. I'm 31 years old, and today was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. The morning sun was barely streaming through the thin white curtains of my childhood bedroom when I opened my eyes, but instead of feeling that bubbly excitement brides talk about, I felt heavy. That if you're reading this, tell me where you're watching from and don't forget to subscribe, because trust me, you won't want to miss what happened next. Not just tired heavy. Something was pressing against my chest in a way that made it hard to breathe. I lay there for a moment, staring at the faint cracks on the ceiling, listening to the muted sounds of people moving around downstairs. I could hear the clinking of pans in the kitchen, my mother's voice carrying through the hallway, and laughter from someone, probably my cousins, already making themselves at home before the ceremony. Everything sounded normal, yet in my body, nothing felt normal. I told myself I was just nervous. After all, how many people wake up completely calm on their wedding day? But this was different. It wasn't butterflies. It was an ache, like my instincts were quietly trying to warn me of something. When I walked to the mirror, I noticed I didn't even look like a bride-to-be. My face was pale, eyes a little puffy from a restless night. I remembered waking up at least 4 times, checking my phone each time as if I was waiting for a message that never came. Daniel, my fiancé, hadn't texted me good night the night before. That was strange. He always did, even if we were fighting. I shrugged it off and headed downstairs, the wood floor creaking under my bare feet. My mother was already bustling around the kitchen, humming to herself. Big day! She smiled without looking at me, then went back to buttering toast. But the first strange detail of the day came just minutes later. Daniel walked into the kitchen to grab coffee, but didn't look at me. Not once. Not even a quick glance. His morning was flat, almost mechanical, before he turned to talk to my father about something trivial. I stood there for a beat too long, trying to convince myself I was imagining it. Maybe he was just overwhelmed. Weddings do that to people. Then I noticed Sarah, my maid of honor, wasn't around. She was staying at the house too, in the guest room across from mine. We'd agreed to have breakfast together before the chaos started, but her bed was already neatly made when I passed her room earlier. Have you seen Sarah? I asked my mother. She said she had to make a quick call, Mom replied, barely looking up from the counter. A quick call? At 7 in the morning? My chest tightened a little more. I went outside for some fresh air, trying to shake it off. The backyard smelled faintly of the roses my mom had planted years ago, the dew still clinging to the grass. It was quiet, almost too quiet. That's when a memory from just 2 weeks ago came rushing back, me walking into the living room and seeing Daniel quickly lock his phone. When I'd asked who he was texting, he'd said it was work stuff, and changed the subject. Sarah had been over that night, too, flipping through bridal magazines like she wasn't paying attention. But now I remembered how she and Daniel had exchanged a quick glance, one I had dismissed at the time. I shook my head hard, as if I could physically push the suspicion out of my mind. This was my wedding day. I wasn't going to ruin it with paranoia. Still, something inside me whispered, if you're right, you need proof. The idea made me feel sick, but it also made me feel strangely steady. If I confronted them without knowing for sure, they'd deny it, and I'd be left looking like a jealous, insecure bride. That's when I made the decision. I wasn't going to accuse anyone. Not yet. I was going to watch, listen, collect pieces until I had a clear picture. As the morning moved on, the little oddities stacked up. When Sarah finally reappeared, she looked flushed. Her hair was slightly messy, and she laughed too loudly at my dad's corny joke. She avoided my eyes the same way Daniel had. While everyone else chatted about seating arrangements and decorations, I found myself studying their movements, how Daniel stood a little too close when Sarah walked past, how she seemed to linger near him without a reason. None of it was enough to accuse them of anything, but my gut was on high alert. During breakfast, I barely touched my food. My fork scraped against the plate, making a noise that seemed louder than usual in my ears. Daniel asked if I was okay, and I smiled, telling him I was just excited. Inside, my thoughts were running wild, connecting dots I wasn't ready to see. At one point, I excused myself and went upstairs, saying I needed to check on something in my room. But really, I just needed to breathe. I stood by the window, looking down at the driveway where Daniel's car was parked. My hands were trembling, not from fear exactly, but from the weight of knowing something was coming. And then, a voice in my head. Not the scared, doubtful one. This one was sharp and clear. Stay calm. Don't lose it. Not yet. I realized in that moment that blowing up too soon could give them the chance to twist the story, to make me seem unstable. No. I was going to keep my cool, no matter what happened next. So I put on my dress rehearsal smile and walked back downstairs, ready to play the part of the glowing bride. But under the surface, every sense was tuned to pick up the slightest clue. It was still early in the day, yet I knew with a bone-deep certainty something was about to shatter. And when it did, I would be ready. The laughter downstairs fades as I step onto the first stair. The polished wood cool beneath my bare feet. I told my aunt I'd forgotten my perfume upstairs, a believable excuse, though in truth, I just needed a few moments away from the noise. My heart hasn't stopped its restless beat since I woke up, but now it feels heavier, pounding against my ribs like it's warning me of something before I even know what it is. Halfway up the staircase, I hear it, a faint murmur, muffled by distance, slipping out from somewhere down the hallway. I pause mid-step, head tilting slightly as I strain to catch the sound. It's not unusual for people to be chatting in the rooms. We have relatives and friends staying over, but there's something about the tone. Soft, quick, almost as if the words are meant to be hidden. I take a slow breath and continue upward, my hand trailing along the banister. The voices become a touch clearer, not enough to understand, but enough to feel the rhythm of the conversation. There's a familiarity in one of them that makes my stomach clench. At the top of the stairs, I freeze. The sound is coming from the guest room, the one Sarah has been using. I tell myself it could be anyone. Maybe one of the bridesmaids popped in for a chat. Maybe someone's borrowing hairspray. My rational mind searches for explanations, but my pulse is already racing ahead of the evidence. I step closer, my bare toes barely making a sound on the hallway carpet. The voices grow sharper now, the walls doing less to contain them. That's when I catch it, a low laugh I know better than any other. Daniel. For a second, my brain refuses to believe it. Maybe it's just the way the sound carries in the house. But then the second voice answers, soft and warm, with the same slight rasp that's always made Sarah's laugh distinct. The air in the hallway thickens. My palms go damp. I tell myself to walk away, to pretend I didn't hear anything. But my feet carry me forward without permission, each step careful and deliberate. I stop just short of the door. My breath feels too loud, like it might give me away. 1,000 thoughts flash in my mind. Images of the bridal shower Sarah planned for me, the night Daniel proposed, the double dates we used to laugh through. My mind is a carousel spinning too fast, but my body is strangely calm, my movements slow and deliberate. I reach for the doorknob. For a moment, my hand hovers over it, the cold metal catching the light from the hallway window. This is the kind of choice you can't unmake, I think. And then, without letting myself overthink, I turn it. The door opens just enough to let a sliver of light spill into the hallway. What I see in that narrow frame knocks the breath out of me. Daniel is standing close to Sarah, too close. His head is tilted toward hers, his voice low and urgent. She's leaning against the dresser, her arms crossed, but not in a defensive way, more like she's keeping something in. Their eyes are locked, and in that stare, there's a language I wish I didn't understand. It's not the scene of a casual chat. It's not even the scene of two people sharing a secret about the wedding. It's charged, intimate in a way that feels like a blade twisting in my chest. Neither of them notices the door shift. My own reflection flashes in the mirror behind them. A small movement, a ghost in the periphery, and I freeze before either of them contain. I can't hear every word, but I catch enough. Her voice, almost a whisper, "We can't talk about this now." His, lower, I just need to know you're sure. Sure about what? My mind races, trying to piece it together, but every possible answer makes my pulse hammer harder. For a split second, I imagine storming in, demanding answers, tearing the calm out of the room. But I don't. I don't even flinch. Something deeper than anger steadies me, a cold, sharp clarity. If I confront them now, I get emotion, denial, maybe tears. If I wait, I get truth. Proof. The kind of leverage you only get once. So I stay perfectly still, watching. Their shoulders are tense. Daniel's hand twitches like he wants to reach for her, but stops himself. Sarah glances toward the window, not the door, unaware I'm just feet away. It feels like an eternity, but it's probably less than a minute before I decide it's enough. I ease my hand off the knob, careful not to let the latch click. Slowly, I step back, my bare feet sinking silently into the carpet. Every movement is deliberate, as if one wrong sound will shatter this strange, dangerous balance I've stumbled into. When I'm far enough down the hall that I can't hear them anymore, I stop and lean against the wall, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I close my eyes, forcing slow breaths. I realize something then. This isn't just betrayal. This is advantage. They don't know what I've seen. They don't know I've heard them. And that means I control the next move. I walk into my room and shut the door quietly behind me. My reflection in the vanity mirror looks different now. My eyes sharper, my jaw set. The faint tremble in my hands isn't fear anymore, it's anticipation. Somewhere downstairs, laughter bursts from the kitchen again, oblivious to the silent war brewing above. I smooth my hair back, pick up the perfume bottle I'd pretended to come upstairs for, and give my wrists a quick spritz. The scent rises in the air, sweet, layered with something sharper underneath. Perfect. I'm ready to go back down, to play my role exactly as they expect. But inside, I know this morning has shifted into something else entirely. They think I'm walking into a wedding. They have no idea I've just walked into the truth. The clinking of glasses and low hum of chatter greet me as I step back into the kitchen. The air smells faintly of roasted rosemary chicken and something sweet baking in the oven, but my mind is nowhere near food. His mother is by the counter, arranging a plate of bite-sized pastries. She's always been a meticulous hostess. Her hands move with the kind of grace that makes even casual gatherings feel like events. I approach her with what I hope passes for a relaxed smile. "Mrs. Carter," I say softly, leaning just enough to lower my voice. "Could you do me a favor? I need everyone in the living room for a quick surprise." She looks up, blinking at me in mild curiosity. "A surprise? At this hour?" I give a light laugh, the kind that suggests nothing's amiss. "It'll only take a minute. Just something I've been meaning to share with the family." Her brow lifts slightly, but she nods. "All right, dear." She wipes her hands on a tea towel, already turning toward the dining area. "I'll call them in." I stand back, watching her move with quiet efficiency, her voice carrying just enough to reach the others without sounding urgent. One by one, faces appear in the archway. Feist, his father, tall and broad-shouldered, still holding a glass of bourbon. He glances toward me with the faintest trace of amusement, as if already wondering what I'm plotting. Behind him, Daniel's younger sister, Emily, peeks around his arm. She's smiling, but there's a flicker of suspicion in her eyes. The cousins come next, 3 of them, each mid-conversation, the laughter fading into curious silence as they join the group. "What's going on?" one of them asks, glancing between me and Mrs. Carter. "You'll see," I reply, keeping my tone even, light. Daniel's other sister, Claire, appears last, phone in hand, still scrolling as she takes a seat on the arm of the couch. Her eyes barely lift from the screen. I take a moment to meet each of their gazes, just long enough to hold their attention, but not long enough to invite questions I'm not ready to answer. "All right," I say, clapping my hands lightly. "If you could all follow me, please." There's a ripple of murmurs as I turn toward the hallway. The shuffle of footsteps follows, hesitant at first, then steady. I can feel their collective curiosity pressing at my back. The air shifts as we leave the warmth of the kitchen and step into the quieter part of the house. Here, the light is dimmer, the sounds from the rest of the gathering fading into the background. What is this about? Emily asks, her tone playful but edged with impatience. You'll understand in a moment, I say without looking back. My voice is calm, but each step tightens the coil of tension inside me. I keep my pace steady, resisting the urge to rush. The hallway seems longer now, each creak of the floorboards amplifying the silence. Behind me, someone chuckles nervously. Is this some kind of game? If it is, Claire mutters, it's the slowest one I've ever played. I don't answer. The weight of their unspoken questions hangs in the air, thick and almost tangible. We round the corner, the door to the guest room now in view. My pulse picks up again, not the erratic rush of panic, but the measured beat of resolve. They are still talking behind me, trading theories in hushed tones. I can hear Daniel's father mutter something about probably some engagement tradition. If only. I stop in front of the door, my hand resting on the knob. The group halts behind me, the sudden pause pulling them into sharper silence. Ready? I ask softly, glancing over my shoulder. A few nods. Emily leans forward slightly, trying to pee past me. Without another word, I turn the handle. The hinges give a soft groan as the door swings open. The shift is immediate. Conversations die mid-sentence. Their expressions change in unison, from casual curiosity to something sharper, heavier. The room itself feels frozen, the air thick with the kind of stillness that follows an unexpected revelation. No one moves. In that moment, I watch their faces closely, the subtle widening of eyes, the way someone's hand tightens around a wine glass, the tiny twitch at the corner of Mrs. Carter's mouth. I don't say a word. I don't need to. The silence says enough. The silence fractures first with a low, shaky voice. What is this? Emily asks, her eyes darting between me and Daniel. I don't answer. Not yet. Instead, I reach into my clutch, fingers brushing against the smooth, familiar surface of my phone. I unlock it with a swipe, my thumb hovering over a folder I've spent weeks building. Daniel shifts in his chair, his jaw tightening. What are you doing? He mutters, but his voice carries. I ignore him. My thumb taps play. A woman's voice spills into the room, bright, flirtatious, and unmistakably not mine. It's followed by Daniel's laugh. A ripple of confusion runs through the family, the heads turning sharply toward him. That's not, he begins, but then the next clip starts. A screenshot fills the phone screen. My lock button projects it clearly enough for the people nearest to me to see, a thread of messages, the tone far from innocent. Mrs. Carter's hand flies to her mouth. Daniel. Her voice is barely above a whisper. I swipe again. This time, it's a photograph, grainy, taken at night, but the faces are clear. Daniel and my maid of honor, seated far too close in a dimly lit restaurant. Claire's phone slips from her hands onto the carpet. She doesn't pick it up. The room feels smaller now, the air dense with disbelief. Stop, Daniel says sharply, his voice cracking under the weight of forced control. But I'm not done. I hit play on the last file, a voice recording. It begins innocently enough, a conversation about wedding seating arrangements. Then it shifts, the words softening into something more intimate, layered with implications no one in this room can ignore. By the time the audio ends, no one is breathing normally. His mother steps forward, her voice trembling. Please, that's enough. I glance at her, meeting her eyes. They are glossy, pleading. But her son stands behind her, face pale, lips pressed into a thin line. He doesn't move toward me, doesn't deny it anymore. Mr. Carter doesn't say a word. He just stares at his son, his glass of bourbon untouched on the side table. The weight in his gaze is heavier than any words could be. From the corner of my eye, I see her, my maid of honor, standing rigid near the doorframe. She hasn't blinked in what feels like minutes. Her fingers twitch slightly at her sides, but she says nothing. Not even a whisper of denial. And that's when it happens. The shift inside me. The thundering pulse in my ears begins to fade. My chest no longer feels like it's about to crack open. I'm not angry anymore. It's as though someone has quietly turned off the storm inside me, leaving behind only clarity. I see each face in this room, the shock, the shame, the discomfort, and I realize I'm done. Consider this, I say slowly, sliding my phone back into my clutch, my wedding gift to you all. Daniel flinches as if the words themselves have weight. Claire opens her mouth to speak, but nothing comes out. I step forward, past Mrs. Carter, past the cousins who can't seem to look at me directly. Every movement feels deliberate, the sound of my heels against the hardwood impossibly loud. When I reach the center of the room, I stop. I wanted you to know before the vows. I continue, my voice even. Before the pictures. Before the celebrations you were all so ready for. Emily shakes her head, her eyes brimming. Why didn't you? Because. I cut in gently. This isn't a conversation. It's a conclusion. The words land heavily. A cousin shifts uncomfortably in his seat. Someone exhales too loudly. Daniel takes a step toward me, his hands out in a half-hearted plea. We can talk about this. I turn to him fully, studying his face. We already did. You just didn't know it. He stops moving. No one speaks after that. The only sound is the faint ticking of the clock on the wall, each second stretching longer than the last. I let the silence grow until it becomes something none of them can escape. Then I walk toward the door. Halfway there, Mrs. Carter's voice breaks through. I'm sorry, she says, so quietly it might not have been meant for me. I don't answer, because sorry isn't the point anymore. By the time my hand touches the doorknob, I feel lighter, not happier, not yet, but unchained. I step out, leaving the stunned quiet behind me. My hand still rests on the doorknob when I turn back to face them. The room is a study in stillness, not calm, but the tense kind, like glass about to crack. I think we're all clear now, I say, my voice even, almost gentle. The wedding is off. No one moves. The words seem to hang in the air, refusing to land. I add, and thank you, for seeing the truth for yourselves. I couldn't have explained it better than reality just did. Daniel's mother presses her lips together, then steps toward me. Wait, you can't just leave. People are already on their way tomorrow. Her voice trembles not with sadness, but with calculation. I see the panic in her eyes, the math of social fallout, the whispers at church, the phone calls she'll have to make. Please, she says again, quieter this time, think about what this will look like. Behind her, Mr. Carter shifts in his armchair. It will ruin us, he mutters, not even pretending this is about me. I tilt my head slightly. It's already ruined. The difference is, now I'm the one walking away. One of his cousins pipes up from the sofa, her words stumbling over themselves. Can't you just postpone? Let people think it's for some other reason. Daniel's voice cuts in. We can fix this. His tone isn't apologetic. It's urgent, desperate to rewrite the scene before it's permanent. I meet his gaze for a moment, and what I see there seals everything. It's not love. It's damage control. I'm not staying, I say, the calm in my tone making the words sharper. A collective ripple of disbelief moves through the room, like they expected me to eventually soften. But the truth is, I've never been clearer in my life. Mrs. Carter takes another step forward, her hand half extended toward me. You don't have to go right now. Let's talk in private. No, I say, not raising my voice, not needing to. Everything that needed to be said has already been played. Silence again. Only the faint hum of the refrigerator in the adjoining kitchen breaks it. I turn back to the door, feeling the weight of their eyes follow me. My fingers curl around the cool metal knob. But before I twist it, I take one last look at the room, the cousins shifting in their seats, Emily avoiding my eyes, Claire standing stiff as a statue in the corner, Daniel, frozen halfway between anger and something he thinks passes for regret. And then I open the door. The evening air rushes in, cool against my skin, carrying the faint smell of rain that hasn't fallen yet. The first step outside feels heavier than it should, but the second is lighter, the third even more so. Behind me, the voices start. "She's making a mistake," Daniel says sharply. "She's saving herself," Emily answers, so softly I almost miss it. Mrs. Carter calls after me again, her voice cracking. "We can handle this. Please, don't just leave like this." But I keep walking. Not because I can't hear them, but because I've finally decided who I'm listening to. Myself. I don't slam the door. I don't even look back. The quiet click of it closing behind me is all the punctuation I need. The gravel crunches under my shoes as I make my way to the driveway. My car sits under the old oak tree, the one Daniel's father insisted was a family landmark. Funny how certain things feel permanent until you decide they are not part of your life anymore. As I reach for my keys, I catch my reflection in the side mirror. My face looks still. Not triumphant. Not broken. Just free. I slide into the driver's seat and let my hands rest on the steering wheel for a moment before starting the engine. Through the windshield, I can still see faint movements in the house. Silhouettes shifting past curtained windows, voices too muffled to make out. It strikes me then, I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't give them the drama they were probably bracing for. I simply showed them the truth and let it speak for itself. The strangest part? That feels better than any outburst could have. I start the engine, the low rumble grounding me. My headlights cut across the driveway, washing over the front steps where Daniel once knelt to propose. That memory doesn't sting anymore. It just feels like something that happened to someone else. As I pull out onto the road, the house disappears from my rear-view mirror, swallowed by the curve. The silence inside the car is comfortable, not hollow. I think about how betrayal works, how it has a way of convincing you it's the end of something vital. And it is, in a way, but endings are just disguised beginnings. What Daniel did broke something, yes. But in its place, it built a space I didn't know I needed, one where I get to choose what's next. Without him, without his family, without the shadows of their expectations. I take a slow breath and let it out. The road ahead is dark, but not empty. For the first time in a long while, I'm not carrying anyone else's version of me. I'm just me. And that, I realize as the night stretches out before me, is more than enough.